pump up your creative leadership muscles. Some 15 years ago, a troop from the Singapore Armed Forces, Platoon 9 Charlie Company, they were undergoing their final mission in the jungle training. After a long day of training, at about 4 o'clock, a new instructions came from the higher command. It said, if Platoon 9 could complete the mission within the next 30 minutes, the whole platoon could book out that particular evening. You see, these people were undergoing national service. And one of the motivation was for them to leave camp early. Instead of Saturday morning, they could have an opportunity to leave on a Friday evening. And this is one of the opportunity. So this news came down to their platoon sergeant, the second in command in the platoon. So he conveyed this message to the people. He said, come on guys, if you complete this mission for the next 30 minutes, we all can go back early. Come on, let's do it. But what happened was, for the next few minutes, the men were very tired. They walked slowly. There was no sense of urgency, and they were not on track of completing the mission. And this made the platoon sergeant a bit disappointed, because he himself wanted to leave camp early to meet his family. What he thought, he wanted to do a reverse psychology on his men. And this is what he said. Come on guys, if you do not want to leave early, it's okay, but I want to, all right? And at this point of time, the whole troop stood still, and one particular soldier came forward and he said, Sergeant, you are so selfish. Only think about yourself. And then he rejoined back his troop. And at that point of time, the platoon sergeant was taken aback. He was shocked. He didn't expect this. And that platoon sergeant was me. Yes, that was me wanting to motivate my men, but somehow I was taken aback. And upon reflection, these few things I realized. Number one, I failed to understand what motivation is. I mean, we were all undergoing the national service together. While I have the rank of the platoon sergeant, but I misunderstood on how to motivate these people. And secondly, which I think was more important, I failed to understand what leadership is all about. Have you experienced this? Or have you seen similar experiences to other people? And especially so in this point of time, in this world of uncertainty, where things change so fast. What you see today may not appear tomorrow. What you see tomorrow might not appear yesterday. And this is what we call the rapidly changing world, the VUCA world. And in this situation, we need a leader, not just a normal leader, a leader who could foster productivity amidst all this uncertainty. At this point of time, we need a leader who are able to see opportunities amidst all these challenges. And we also need to have leaders who are able to navigate the team calmly amidst all these crises. These are the leaders we need at this point of era. And a survey done by IBM to more than 1,500 CEOs, the top skill in leadership is creativity, because creativity is able to do all the activities I mentioned earlier on in my previous slides. But the next question is, I remember in one of the seminars I conducted, one participant came up to me. He said, Hazriq, I'm not working in the creative industry. Why should I be learning creativity for? You see, these are some of the common sentiments I get from the people, from my audiences. And I did a survey on this. I asked about some 170 people. I asked them what creativity is all about. And surprisingly, about 40%, 39.2%, said that creativity is all about the arts, music, dance, theater, film, whereas the rest felt that creativity is beyond the arts. And this is interesting because upon further research, I realized that creativity is applicable across domains. This is a study by Dr. John Bauer from the University in the US. He said that creativity can be applied across 7 different domains. He mentioned interpersonal, entrepreneur, performances, maths and science, problem solving, and artistic. For verbal and visual, only have about 2 categories, and that's about 20-35%, not far from my earlier findings. And what does it mean? It means that creativity is applicable in many settings, even in your current setting. Now we know that creativity is applicable in various settings, and we know we need leaders who are creative. So the question is, what is actually creativity? I'm very fortunate to be able to starting my career in the performing arts, in the creative industries as an actor, and then I move on doing creativity innovation projects and consulting over the span of more than 15 years. And there's many definitions of creativity. And I'm intrigued by one definition by Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. He said that creativity is about connecting dots. And based on my experiences and based on what he said, I came to deduce that the definition of creativity is as such. This is my definition. Creativity is the ability to flex our mental muscles, to connect dots and create value. This is what creativity is all about. So the question is, what is these dots? And I came up with this formula. I call it the creativity equals to P plus I plus E, where P, I, E is the dots. And these dots are the people you meet, the info on the knowledge you have, or you acquire along the way, and the experiences you have in your life throughout. So with this creativity, with this understanding of creativity, what we can do right now is to use this and pump up our creative leadership muscles so that we are able to lead our team better. So how can we pump up our muscle? Here's what I call the creative leadership framework, which I would like to share with you, which is very simple. The first C is what I call the creative mindset. So in order to be a creative leader, you need to have a creative mindset. So what is a creative mindset? Let's break it down. Creativity. The word creativity comes from the root word, which means create, to do something. In other words, it is actually to grow. So you have a creative mindset. In essence, you are also having a growth mindset, which means you need to grow yourself and to grow the network around you. And this is what I mean. Using the same formula, creativity equals to P plus I plus E, let's look as a person. As a creative person, we are able to grow ourselves by stretch our own capabilities. And how to do that? I like to use this formula, B plus A equals R, which means B is your belief, have your belief indeed that you can do it. And then plus A, take that necessary action that you need to do, and then it will then produce a result. So B plus A equals R. This is how you stretch your capabilities. Have a belief and take that action. The next way to increase your creative mindset is to celebrate learning, keep learning, learn things beyond your domain, because this information could come handy, especially when you need to come up with new solutions. And of course, lastly, gain more experiences, do a lot of activities where you can learn something new. These are experiences you can buy, but these experiences will go into your mind, which you will be using definitely. And that's how you're going to improve or going to pump up your creative mindset. So that is the first part of the first element of creative leadership framework. The second C is what I call the culture of creativity. As a leader, we need to create the culture within our team or within our organizations. And how do we go about doing that? Let's go back to the basics once again. Creativity is about we able to connect with people, connect with the information and knowledge you have, and connect with the experiences we have. And when we have a culture, which means the people in our team will have similar behaviors, They are able to connect with the people around them. They are able to share their info and share their experiences. And this could happen when the people around them has trust among them. They are able to respect one another, and they have cooperation among them. Trust, respect, and cooperation are all feelings. And feelings is not as easy like you tell them to, hey, have trust with the people or cooperate with people. You can't, because there are feelings. And feelings can only happen when they are in a safe zone. So back in the olden days, when people live to survive in the olden days, these people come together in a safe zone. They know there are dangers out there. So when they work together as a team, then they are going, and then they trust and they respect and cooperate together to deter all those dangers. And this concept is very much similar in our current setting, especially in the world of uncertainty, of complexity, of volatility and ambiguity. These are the dangers we are feeling right now. But the concept of having respect, trust, and cooperation is still the same. We need to have a safe environment. And in order to have that safe environment, this is where the creative leader come about. They need to create an environment safe enough for the members to work together. How do we then, as a leader, create this safe environment? Simon Sinek, the author of Leaders Eat Last, he said that we can actually use the tenets of biology to actually create this feeling of respect, trust, and cooperation within team. So he recommended to use the 4 chemicals when people are happy. And I call this, for easy illustration, I call this the dose of happiness quadrant. Because when we are happy, when we are joyful, that brings us to have more friendship and loyalty. And these chemicals give us to do that. And what are these chemicals for? Let's cover on the left side of the quadrant, the D and E first. The first D, so I call the dopamine. Dopamine is a feeling of accomplishment. When we are able to accomplish a certain project, we are feeling very happy. So this is what leaders could do. You can set goals for the team and let them achieve them. And this will give them the feelings of accomplishment. That's the D. The second one is E, endorphin. This is a feelings of concealment. Let me share with you the story about a Singaporean footballer in one of the competitive matches in Singapore. At one particular football match, they were playing against an opponent, and there's one moment when the opponent tackled him and his leg hit his ankle that made his ankle twisted about 90 degrees. That was really painful, right? So at that spur of moment, he was shocked at that. And the funny thing is, he managed to twist back to the original position at that spur of the moment. And after the incident, we asked him, how did he do that? And he said, I don't know. I could not believe I could do that. But what actually happened was, that was the feeling for endorphin he had. He was playing football. And when that thing happened, because of the endorphin his body is producing, he's able to switch his ankle back to the original position. And this endorphin, you can produce it when you are doing exercises and sports. So this is what you could do with your team. You can play sports or do exercise with your team to increase that endorphin so that we can have a happy moments together. Now, the only challenge is the D and E. These feelings are temporary because these feelings could fade away in no time. What we could do is to do activities that covers the O and S. It would balance up your dose of happiness. Let's look at the O side. O is the oxytocin. The oxytocin, a chemical that our body produces when we have a feeling of friendship, loyalty, and love. And this is usually happen when we are having meetings with friends. You go to a friend's place, you sit watching TV together, and then after the end of the day, you have this feeling like, wow, we had such a good time. But what you all do was actually sitting down, chit-chatting, and watching TV. Doing nothing actually, just doing that. But that gives a sense of friendship, loyalty, and love. So this is what you can do for your team. to create an environment. One of the ways is to have the habit of giving, because like donation, have some form of activity where your team could go out and do activities of giving or charity, because the feeling of a giving is very similar to that of working together, watching TV, because when you actually give or donate, it will give you that sense of satisfaction, sense of fulfillment, and that feeling actually lasts longer. So that's O. And the last one is S, the serotonin, what I call the feelings of public recognition. It is important to announce in public that the person has done very well in their work or in their work. Okay, let's take, for example, let's take example of graduation. How do we graduate from in university? What we need to do is just to complete the examination. We need to learn, we need to complete the examinations, and then we need to meet the minimum required standards, and then we are graduated. We graduate. That's so simple. But why we have the graduation ceremony? Because this graduation ceremony is really to uplift the feeling of public recognition. Imagine if you're up there waiting for your name to be called upon receiving your degree. Your name being called, you walk across the stage, and you show hands to receive your degree, and then you look at the audience and you bow, and that feeling is a feeling of pride because you've done a lot, you have sacrificed a lot. And the interesting is this: when you have that feeling, those watching you, your parents, your best friends, your buddies watching you, they have the similar feeling as well. And this feeling will last. So that is why we need to have graduation ceremony. And in your team, in order to have this feeling of happiness, do activities that could announce what they've done well at work. This will give them the sense of pride and achievements. So these are the 4 dose of happiness which you can do in your team members. I call it the DOSE. And so that's the cultural creativity, what you need to do to rally your team to work together. And the final one is what I call the common language of creativity. If we look at military, they have the common language they use every day. For example, they could say stand at ease or attention, right? Or in the companies, you would say KIV or for your consideration. So all these are the common language you have in your organization. Same thing in your team. When you are creating the culture of creativity, you need to have a common language of creativity. So what are the common language you can use? Let me share with you what I experienced in one of the creativity workshop I did. In one segment, in the divergent thinking segment, I got my participants to come up with ideas or different ideas on the usage of straws. So I give them about 5 minutes to list down as many ideas as possible. And after about 3 minutes, the group came up to me. He said, Hazriq, we are not able to come up much ideas. Are you able to assist us? I said, yeah, why not? So I went over to the team. I listened to the conversation. And the conversation went something like this. When somebody said, how about we use straws as a hanger? Someone else would say, yes, but that's kind of clumsy. And when somebody else said, how about we keep sugar in straws? And someone else would say, but I don't think that's suitable. And so on and so forth. So what I realized, their team, their discussion, they were having what we call the yes, but conversation. They were having an idea and someone else will say, yes, but not a good idea. And another idea came, somebody else will say, yes, but not a good idea. So this yes, but conversation is what I call the idea killers. Have you experienced this in your meetings? Somebody offered an idea, someone else would say, yeah, but not a good idea. All right? Because in meetings, you need to understand there are certain points you need to generate ideas. At certain point, you need to make a decision. At the generating ideas part, yes, but it's not suitable to use it. So how can we have a better idea to generate ideas, to encourage creativity in the group? If you have watched musicals, if you have watched theater plays, most performances is all based on scripts, and the actors up on stage, they will perform based on that. And one of the skills we learn as an actor, we got to learn about improvisation. Improvisation means we are up on stage without scripts, but you are able to put up performances. And this is based on the formula we call the yes and. So this same formula, I bring it back into my creativity workshop. And this time around, I got the participant to use yes and conversations instead of the yes but. And the conversations went differently. So when somebody said, how about we keep sugar in the straws? Somebody would say, yes, and then we keep the straws like a hanger. We can hang it there. Somebody else would say, yes, and then more ideas came out. So this is the beauty of yes and as opposed to yes but, because yes but kills idea, whereas yes and, three things happen. When you say yes and in your team meetings or your team conversations, you actually acknowledge your friend's idea, which is a good thing, and then you actually build someone else's idea, and most importantly, you are able to collaborate with the people within your teams. So yes and is the language of creativity I would suggest for you to have in your team. So that is the language of creativity, the common language of creativity. Have a thought through what would be your common language of creativity. So in a nutshell, in order to pump up your creative leadership, three things you need to have. Number one, as a leader, you need to have your creative mindset. Number two, create a culture of creativity within your teams. And number three, have a common language of creativity so that everybody has the same language where they communicate about ideas and innovation. So before we end, there's three things I would love you to do as a leader to pump up your creative leadership muscles. Number one is to start think creatively. Start to think on how you can use the people you meet, the idea you have, the experiences you get, and how you can put together to come up a very important ideas or innovation to bring your team forward. That's number one. Number two, plan activities that promotes a culture of creativity. Creating culture means you need to have a feeling of trust, respect, and cooperation. And I've shared earlier on how we can touch on our biology to actually increase that feeling. And finally, have a common language of creativity so that everybody in the team, everybody are on the same page. You can start using yes and you can add on creating more common language of creativity within your teams. To end, Ben Parker, the uncle of Spider-Man, he said, with great powers comes great responsibility. And this is very important for leaders because the leaders have powers. And we have powers, you have great responsibility. But let me tweak it a bit to these words, which says, with creative powers comes greater leadership ability. We hope this presentation has been very beneficial to you in one way or another, and we hope to keep in touch. With that, Hazriq Idrus signing off. Thank you and have a good day. See you. Bye-bye.